Discover the heartwarming story of Ginger's incredible paper plane victory transformed by love. Ginger stood in the dimly lit family bakery, the scent of cinnamon rolls and freshly baked bread hanging like a memory. Her heart raced not from the scent, but from the weight pressing down on her chest. Her father, once the proud owner and a local hero, lay bedridden after a tragic accident. The bakery, the cornerstone of their small town, was crumbling, much like the dreams etched in her journal. With every passing day, it felt more daunting. She wasn't just a high school senior anymore. She had become the lifeline for her family, and the heavy responsibilities threatened to drown her. As she flicked through the pages of her childhood memories, fragments of laughter floated back to her. She could almost hear her mother's encouraging words. Memories of crafting colorful paper airplanes together flooded her mind, and she was reminded of days spent dreaming under the wide skies. It had been just the two of them, concocting ridiculous designs, tossing them into the air and watching as they soared, taking their hopes with them. Those innocent joys felt like a distant world now swallowed by the seriousness of life. Yet, at that moment, a spark ignited within her. The upcoming Great American Paper Plane Championship could be her salvation. A substantial cash prize lay at the end of that colorful paper trail, and it glimmered like gold to Ginger. But doubts crept in as she envisioned her classmates smirking at her aspirations. The affluent community often turned up their noses at dreams that seemed too big or too small. Jake, her childhood friend and the boy who used to cheer for her planes, now stood at the crossroads between supporting her and keeping his distance, caught up in the expectations of his wealthy family. Determined, she began to train for the competition, crafting planes more artful than any before. Flying in the backyard day after day, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Every throw was a tribute to her mother and a promise to her father. But whispers floated through school, taunting her, casting shadows of doubt. Some classmates said she was wasting her time, while others suggested she should focus on practical dreams. Yet, with every supportive comment from the townsfolk like Mrs. Anderson, who promised to be in the front row, her resolve strengthened. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the championship approached, each night felt heavier, each disappointment a weight on her shoulders. But deep within, determination blazed. She gripped the edges of her papers, envisioning her mother smiling, arms wide as her plane soared. Finally, on the day of the competition, the open field buzzed with excitement. Contestants were lined up, eyes shimmering with hopes and dreams. Ginger took a deep breath, a flurry of emotion swirling inside her. She unfolded her creation, a beautifully crafted tribute to family. The elegance of its design mirrored her mother's dreams and her father's spirit. With a push, she hurled the plane into the sky. It glided, catching the wind, and for that fleeting moment, everything was perfect. But as the crowd gasped, the unpredictable nature of life reminded her. Victory was not guaranteed, and her journey was just beginning. Would her flight spark change beyond the air? Would it reshape the fabric of her community in a world stuck in haves and have-nots? With her heart pounding, she stood ready to find out what lay ahead. The bright sun hung overhead, casting long shadows on the grass as the crowd roared in excitement. Ginger's heart raced, not just from the thrill of the day but from the echoes of her hopes and the weight of her past. She had launched her paper plane, seeing it soar like a wild bird breaking free from the cage of her daily struggles. But now, as she watched her creation glint against the blue sky, she grappled with a gnawing unease. What if it didn't land where she wanted? What if it fell short just like her dreams sometimes felt? The muffled laughter from some of her classmates broke through her thoughts, reminding her of every doubt they had planted in her heart. But then, the sight of Mrs. Anderson cheering her on from the sidelines brought a smile to her face. That smile was why she had picked up the scissors and glue. Her eyes swept over the field, taking in the blend of hope and fear mirrored in the faces around her. There was Jake standing stiffly with his polished friends, all clad in designer clothes. He had once been the boy who boosted her confidence, who clapped and cheered as they crafted planes together in their yard. But now, he seemed another world away amidst the whispers of his wealthy peers. She wondered if he thought less of her for her dreams, or if he secretly wanted to root for her. The judges held their breath as the final scores were calculated, and the announcer's voice echoed in the chilly air. In third place, her heart pounded louder. The weight of the moment felt monumental, like the world had come to a standstill just for her. With each name called, her dreams fluttered closer to her grasp, edging out every doubt she had nurtured. Second place goes to a deep breath. She steadied herself. Had the plane flown far enough to garner a top spot? What would it mean for her? Ginger. The name rang out across the field, and she felt every gaze lift to her. A mixture of pride and disbelief washed over her. Ginger. It was her moment, a beacon piercing through the chaos of her life. As she walked forward, a rush of emotions overwhelmed her. Triumph, yes, but also fear. Knowing that winning the competition was only part of what she hoped to achieve. She raised her hands in victory, but her eyes searched for Jake. Would he understand how much this meant? Would it bridge the gap that had grown between them? When she spotted him at last, an unexpected emotion flared in her chest. It was like a flutter of hope, mixed with the exhaustion of the last few weeks. He was smiling, a genuine smile that seemed to break through the barrier of their awkward silence. "Congrats, Ginger," he called out, stepping toward her as she descended from the stage, and she felt a rush of warmth surge through her. Was this the moment all their childhood dreams began to stitch their lives together once more? But then she felt something tugging at the corner of her heart. What came next? Could she keep this fire alive? What did winning even mean now? Would the cash prize be a fleeting triumph, or the start of a new chapter for her family and the bakery? And as the crowd dispersed, those questions hung in the air like the confetti that fluttered down around her, hinting at greater challenges yet to come. Would Ginger find the courage to truly spread her wings, not just in paper but in life? Where would the next step lead her? Her heart thudded in anticipation as she turned back towards the tumult of voices, ready to face whatever awaited her next. Ginger felt the heat of her victory laced with uncertainty. As the last of the applause faded, she turned toward the makeshift stands where her classmates were still gathered. Among them, the whispers and stifled laughter seemed sharper, like the bite of winter frost. Yet amidst the noise, one voice broke through. Ginger. It was Mrs. Anderson, her art teacher, a beacon of encouragement. She hurried over, her face beaming with pride. "You've done it. You were amazing out there." "Thanks, Mrs. Anderson," Ginger stammered, her smile faltering a bit. "I just hope my plane really made a difference." "Of course it did. You've shown everyone that creativity has no boundaries." Mrs. Anderson's words washed over her, soothing the lingering anxiety of what came next. But still the cloud of doubt loomed. The prize money would help, but how much could it really alter the course of her life? As the crowd continued to mill about, she felt a tug on her sleeve. Turning, she found Jake standing there, his usual confident posture tinged with a hint of nervousness. "Can we talk?" he asked, and something in his eyes deepened her curiosity. "Sure," she said, leading him away from the fading celebration. They found a quieter spot beneath the shade of an old oak tree. The cool breeze felt refreshing, but the air also crackled with tension. "I just wanted to say, I'm really proud of you," he started, scratching the back of his head as if resting with his own thoughts. "You've always had this spark. I'm sorry I didn't see it before." Ginger's heart fluttered. "Thanks, Jake. It means a lot, especially coming from you. I guess I thought you were too busy for someone like me." His brow furrowed, showing signs of surprise. "What do you mean?" "I mean you're with them now, the popular kids. And I've been me." She looked down at the grass, embarrassed by her own vulnerability. "Ginger, that's not what matters." He moved closer, lowering his voice. "You've always been so true to yourself. They don't even get it, but I do. I never stopped believing in you." Ginger's chest swelled. His words wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, but with irony tinged by past uncertainties. "It just feels like everything is changing so fast. Winning this doesn't fix everything." Jake sighed, stepping forward, as if he wanted to close any distance between them. "Life is like that. You have to embrace the changes. Winning was just the start, right? You can do anything you set your mind to." She studied him, wondering what he meant. The laugh lines around his eyes, those were still familiar. He was still the boy who had glued together planes with her, dreaming of flight when they were kids. "What do you think I should do next?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, so vulnerable she could barely recognize herself. "I think you need to get your bakery idea off the ground," he said firmly, and a spark ignited in his gaze. "You could really turn things around for your family. This can be the start. Not just for you but for both of us. Together." Ginger's heart raced. The bakery? Her dreams? Could they really intertwine? Suddenly a wave of excitement crashed against her doubts, whispering of possibilities. Dreaming was one thing but taking action was another. Before she could speak, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd, dragging her attention. Snapped her back to reality. "Let us go celebrate your win," Jake said, extending his hand. With a cautious smile she took his hand, feeling a warmth and connection she thought lost. But deep inside, a flicker of anxiety remained. Was she really ready to face the future? As they moved toward the thrumming excitement, a question tugged at the edge of her thoughts. Would she be brave enough to chase those dreams, or would she let fear ground her once again? More than just a paper plane had flown that day, it was her chance at a new life. And as she stepped forward, trailing Jake's footsteps, everything hung in balance. The next chapter awaited, shrouded in uncertainty yet bursting with promise. What if everything changed from here on out? The celebration roared to life around them, filled with laughter and music, but Ginger felt a strange stillness in her heart. Jake's hand felt reassuring, yet her mind was a flurry of thoughts. He had suggested her bakery idea, something she had shelved away as a distant dream. Was it possible to turn it into reality, to mix flour and sugar with her hopes and fears? As they stepped into the crowd, the exuberance felt like a wave crashing over her, pushing her toward a shore she had yet to see. "Look, Ginger won!" The shout rang out, and more students surrounded her, clapping and asking questions about her design. Ginger's cheeks flushed. "Thanks everyone," she said, forcing a grin despite the stir of anxiety. She searched through the crowd, hoping to catch a glimpse of familiar faces, but her gaze fell back on Jake. He stood nearby, watching her with an expression that held both admiration and something else, hope. "Did you really believe in my bakery idea?" she asked, stepping closer, her voice barely rising above the chatter. "Of course. You've always baked the best cookies in class." "You could do that for real," he replied, his eyes shining with encouragement. "Think about it. The community would love it." Ginger bit her lip, pondering. What did she even know about running a bakery? The scent of baked goods was one thing, but the reality felt overwhelming. The giggles and cheers faded slightly as she battled her fears. "But it's a huge risk, Jake." "Every dream is a risk," he said, his tone turning serious. "You have what it takes, Ginger. I've seen it. You just have to believe that too." The noise dipped back into focus as an idea began to blossom in her mind. What if she started small? A few recipes, maybe selling treats at the local farmer's market? The thought filled her with both excitement and terror. Could she really do that? While joy bubbled around her, an icy hand of doubt gripped her chest. What would people think? What if she failed? She turned to the side and noticed Mrs. Anderson again, standing a few feet away, basking in shared pride with her colleagues. The sight of her art teacher instilled a flicker of confidence. The applause returned, snapping her back. She needed to step forward, but the comfort of the familiar felt safe. "Jake, I don't want to mess this up," she finally admitted, her voice trembling. "You won tea," he assured, stepping closer so she could feel the warmth radiating from his presence. "Just take one step at a time. You've already shown that you can create something magical. It's in you." In that moment, Ginger realized that life itself was a series of risks. The moment she flew that plane was an act of boldness. Could she carry that boldness into her dreams of a bakery? Just then their classmates rallied around her, chanting her name. "Ginger! Ginger! Ginger!" Each cheer electrified her spirit, but she still felt tethered by her doubts. What could she say to them? "Thank you," she called out, heart pounding. "This means so much. I really want to." Suddenly the crowd cheered more wildly, and in that chaotic moment, she felt a whisper of what her life could be. If she were to pursue this bakery idea, what doors might it open? Jake leaned in. "So what's the first step?" Before she could answer, Her gaze landed on a poster for an upcoming community festival. An idea sparked. Maybe I can set up a booth there, she breathed, excitement rushing in. I can test out some recipes, see if people like it. Jake's face lit up as if she had just unveiled a masterpiece. Yes, that's it. You can do this. Her heart raced faster now, flapping like a paper plane soaring into the wind. But as the cheers surrounded her, a thick veil of fear still clung. A small voice whispered, "What if no one liked her treats? What if she failed?" Yet even deeper, a new feeling began to mix with her anxiety. Hope. As she swayed in the shifting tide of emotions, she knew one thing. If she wanted to fly, she had to start now. Each moment felt heavier, yet lighter with potential. But would she have the courage to take that leap? And could this be the beginning of something much more than just a bakery dream? With a sense of urgency building, her heart ached with a thrill but also uncertainty. Where would this take her? What journey awaited ahead? The sound of the crowd filled Ginger's ears like a distant melody, each cheer an invitation to break free from her inner constraints. She felt the exhilaration mixed with a deep-seated fear, trembling like a leaf caught in a gust of wind. Uncertainties clung to her, but the spark ignited by Jake's encouragement crackled within her like a small flame refusing to be snuffed out. "Ginger, you should do it," someone yelled, and her heart swelled with every shout of her name. It was overwhelming. She imagined those faces, friends, classmates coming to her booth, eager to try her creations. What if they loved them? Suddenly, she had a vision of her little bakery, warm and inviting, with the familiar sense of vanilla and chocolate wafting through the open door. She could see herself behind the counter, flour dusting her apron, laughing with customers who couldn't wait to try her treats. That glance into the future shocked her. It was a moment of clarity in the chaos. "Okay," she shouted over the crowd, surprising even herself. "I'm going to do it. I'll set up a booth at the community festival." A wave of roaring applause enveloped her, drowning out her fears, and Ginger couldn't help but smile wider, the adrenaline fueling her spirit. Jake beamed with pride, flashing a thumbs up that made her heart flutter. But then she felt the remnants of doubt creep back in. What if her baking wasn't good enough? What if no one showed up? "I'll help you," Jake said, pulling her from her thoughts. "We can plan it together. I'll be your first customer, and I'll spread the word." His enthusiasm was infectious, lighting a fire in her heart that pushed back her fears. "Really?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Of course. You have an amazing gift, Ginger. I promise I'll make sure people know about it." His gaze was steady, filled with belief that felt almost surreal. The little bubble of confidence she hadn't even known she had started to swell. If she took his hand, they would leap into this venture together, and maybe that would make it all seem a little less scary. "Okay, so we can make a list," she said, her voice stronger now. "Recipes, ingredients, even a name for the booth." She felt a rush of excitement wash over her, gathering all her thoughts into a tangible plan. Jake nodded, his eyes sparkling with determination. "How about Ginger's sweet creations?" She chuckled, her heart lifting. "I love it. Just think. Cookies, brownies, maybe even cupcakes." The laughter and chatter around them felt warmer now, wrapping around her like a blanket. With every word, the thought of showcasing her talent felt more feasible, more real. Yet the anxiety bubbled beneath the surface, piping in with questions she couldn't shake. As the evening progressed, the festival buzzed in the background, each laugh mingling with her fears. What if her treats weren't perfect? The thought gnawed at her, clouding the excitement she had just built. As she watched couples dance and groups of friends enjoying their time, Ginger drew a long, deep breath. Maybe perfection wasn't necessary. Maybe it was the joy of sharing her passion that mattered most. "I won't let fear win," she said softly to herself. Jake caught the whisper, looking at her with a knowing smile. "Exactly. You're on the brink of something special, Ginger. Just believe in yourself. And remember, I'll be right here." Their eyes locked for a moment, and in that gaze, she gathered the courage to push past her fears, embracing whatever came next. But just as she felt her heart leap forward, a thought struck her. What if she put herself out there and felt the sting of rejection? Would she be able to handle that? With those swirling thoughts, she glanced back at the community spirit around her, both thrilled and terrified of the journey ahead. The inkling of doubt might linger, but one thing was for sure. She was about to embark on a path she had only ever dreamed of. What awaited her at that festival? Would she find the support she needed or the reality of vulnerability? As her heart raced with the weight of possibilities, one question reverberated within her. What if this was just the beginning? Ginger found herself awake long before dawn, the remnants of excitement still swirling in her mind. The hours until the festival spread out before her like an endless road, each moment filled with possibility and dread. She could hear the faint rustle of the early morning outside, a whisper of the world waking up. But her thoughts refused to settle. What if I can't do it? The question haunted her as she sat on the edge of her bed, tapping her fingers on her knees. Thoughts of her booth and all the effort it would take piled up like unbaked dough, heavy and tantalizing. Then, like a ray of sunlight breaking through the clouds, she remembered Jake's words, his unwavering confidence in her. It lit a fresh spark. I've got to prepare, she said, shooting up from her bed. I can't let fear hold me back. After a quick breakfast, Ginger scrambled to gather her recipes and supplies. As she pulled the ingredients from the cabinet's flour, sugar, chocolate chips, each item felt like a piece of a puzzle that was finally coming together. She could almost visualize her booth, vibrant and welcoming, each treat glistening with promise. As the sun climbed higher, she found herself in the kitchen, the familiar sounds of whirring mixers and crackling ovens wrapping around her like a warm hug. Ginger let herself flow into the rhythm of baking, and soon the sweet aromas of her cookies began to permeate the air. Mixing the dough, she imagined the faces of her friends as they savored her treats. Hope bloomed in her chest, pushing back the shadows of doubt. Just as she pulled the first batch from the oven, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jake. Can't wait for today. What time do I need to be there? A smile spread across her face as she replied enthusiastically, 10 a.m. I'll have everything ready for you. She set the cookies aside to cool, her heart racing at the thought of them. What if people loved them? Would it be enough? The hours slipped by as she baked batch after batch, focusing on each mixture, each swirl, each rise. As noon approached, she was satisfied but still anxious. She needed to gather her supplies and set up before she could truly feel ready. When the time came, she loaded her car, cookies, brownies, cupcakes, all nestled lovingly in boxes. The festival ground was already buzzing with activity when she arrived, colorful stalls lining the street, laughter and music blending into a symphony of joy. Ginger's heart raced as she set up her booth, the sign reading Ginger's Sweet Creations hanging with a gentle sway. Ginger! Over here! Jake's voice cut through the crowd, making her look up. He was waving, pulling his friends along with him. They approached, excitement vivid in their faces. Hey! Wow, it looks amazing! His eyes gleamed as he surveyed her setup, taking in the designs and treats with awe. You've really outdone yourself. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Ginger couldn't help but manage a shy smile. I hope it tastes as good as it looks. Trust me, it will. Let us get people over here. As Jake roamed into the crowd spreading the word, excitement buzzed in Ginger's veins. The first group of friends approached hesitantly, their eyes lit up at the sight of the colorful treats. Ginger's heart pounded as they began to sample her creations. She watched, holding her breath. Every smile, every nod of approval sent waves of joy cascading through her. But just as she started feeling hopeful, an unfamiliar face stepped up to her booth, a look of skepticism settling on them. So, what makes your sweets special? They asked, crossing their arms. Ginger's stomach twisted. Doubt crept in, threatening to overshadow her success. What if they didn't like it? Would today end in triumph or heartache? The moment hung in the balance, and her heart raced to see where it would lead. Ginger took a steadying breath, glancing at the skeptical stranger. Their challenge hung in the air, prickling at her confidence. She felt the energy around her shift, her earlier excitement replaced with a tug of uncertainty. But as she looked around, she caught sight of Jake laughing with their friends, joy radiating from his smile. Well, she began, her voice trembling slightly. My cookies are made from scratch using family recipes passed down through generations. Each one is baked with love and a little bit of magic. The words spilled out, surprising even her. She could see curiosity sparkling in the stranger's eyes. Really? Family recipes? Like what? Their arms unfolded, and Ginger felt the tension ease just a bit. Like my grandmother's chocolate chip cookies. She smiled, reminiscing. She used to bake them every Sunday, and I would sit on the kitchen counter stealing bites. It's my way of carrying on her legacy. The stranger's expression softened, and for a moment, she felt the warmth of connection. I love chocolate chip cookies, they confessed, glancing at the platter piled high before them. Well, can I try one? Absolutely. Ginger beamed. She handed them a cookie from the stack, watching with bated breath as the stranger took a big bite. Their eyes widened, and just like that, their skepticism melted away. Wow, these are amazing, they exclaimed, a grin spreading across their face. Okay, I see what the hype is about. Relief flooded Ginger. She felt lighter, the burden of doubt lifting as she served more eager customers. One by one, people approached her booth, tantalized by the aroma and the allure of sweet creativeness. The laughter and chatter around her filled her with an exhilarating rush of purpose. Jake reappeared with a small crowd of friends. How is it going? He asked, his excitement contagious. Better than I could have hoped for. Ginger replied, her smile widening. She was in her element now, each compliment fueling her passion. Let us get those cookies out there, Jake shouted, rallying their friends to spread the word. Suddenly it felt as if her little booth was the heart of the festival, drawing people in with the allure of homemade treats and love. But then, just as she thought things couldn't get better, a group of teenagers rolled up. Their laughter mingled with the energetic beats of the festival music. One of them, a girl with bright pink hair, approached with a challenging glint in her eye. Is this as good as everyone says? She called out, daring Ginger to prove her worth. The stakes were suddenly higher. Ginger took a deep breath, swallowing hard. Why don't you try one and see for yourself? She challenged back, a flicker of her earlier confidence sparking anew. As that girl reached for a cookie, a cheers erupted from the crowd surrounding her booth. Ginger's heart thundered in her chest, anticipation building. Everyone looked on, eager to witness this moment of truth. What if she could win them over? What if this day turned into not just a success but a sweet victory? A knot of hope tightened in her belly as she watched her creations poised for judgment. And within that moment, a new fear gripped her. Would she ever be able to handle the pressure of everyone's expectations? Would this day end with her dreams soaring or crashing down like a fragile paper plane caught in the wind? The girl with the pink hair bit into the cookie, the crowd's excitement palpable. Ginger's breath hitched, her hands trembling slightly at her sides. Did she really want to see this? What if the verdict was harsh? The girl chewed slowly, her expression unreadable. Ginger felt the moment stretch into eternity, every second weighed down by the collective breath-holding of those around her. She glanced at Jake, who met her gaze with a confident nod, a silent encouragement. And then it happened. The girl's eyes lit up as if someone had just flipped a switch. Oh wow, this is delicious, she exclaimed, an infectious grin breaking across her face. The cheers erupted from the crowd, a wave of joy washing over Ginger. Her heart soared, the worries of self-doubt quickly dissipating. See, I told you, one of her friends shouted, raising his arms in victory. Can I have another? The pink-haired girl asked, her voice a mix of surprise and delight. She reached for another cookie, and it felt like a pivotal moment, a turning point in the midst of the festival chaos. As she handed over a second cookie, Ginger's mind danced with thoughts. Maybe this is what it's all about. Sharing family recipes, creating connections, spreading joy one cookie at a time. It was more than just baking. It was about leaving a piece of her heart on that platter. Do you have any other flavors? The girl asked, licking crumbs off her fingers. Ginger's heart pounded in excitement. What if she could share even more? Absolutely. I have snickerdoodles and oatmeal raisin too, she replied, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. The crowd rallied, eagerly waiting to taste more of her creations. They even began chanting her name, Ginger. 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 It was surreal, the buzz of voices enveloping her, lifting her spirit higher. Jake's prideful grin beamed at her from across the table. You're killing it, he shouted, giving her a thumbs up. But even as joy filled her heart, a slight unease twisted in her gut. What if this moment was fleeting? What if her success didn't last beyond the festival? Every festival ended eventually, and what would happen then? Suddenly the crowd shifted slightly, revealing an older woman standing at the back, her weathered hands clasped tightly around a cane. The instant Ginger saw her, a heaviness settled over the moment, pulling at her sense of joy. Something about the woman seemed familiar, almost emblematic of her own fears trapped in the echoes of success and failure. "Are you the Ginger who bakes?" the woman asked, her voice rich and warm, but tinged with a hint of vulnerability. "I've heard about your cookies." Ginger's heart raced. Could this woman be someone important? Did she know about her grandmother? "Yes, that's me," Ginger replied, striving to keep her voice steady, curiosity swirling within her. There was something in that woman's eyes that felt like a challenge, though akin to the girl with pink hair. "Then you must know," the woman said, leaning in as if sharing a secret. "The true measure of a baker's worth isn't in the praise of a crowd, but the stories you carry in each bite." Ginger blinked, grappling with the weight of those words. What stories did her cookies really tell? Before she could respond, the pink-haired girl interrupted the moment with laughter, pulling everyone's focus back to the fun atmosphere of the festival. Yet, the old woman's eyes lingered in Ginger's mind. What did she mean? What was she asking her to uncover? The feeling of the day shifted just a bit. Determination ignited within her as she pondered the road ahead. Ginger knew she had a legacy to uphold, but how would she truly express it? As the laughter and joy continued to fill her booth, a flicker of fear and curiosity mixed with determination consumed her thoughts. What stories did she still need to uncover? And who exactly was the woman who seemed to hold the keys to those answers? The crowd continued to cheer, but within that noise, Ginger felt a deep pull toward the older woman. It was as though everything happening around her faded, leaving only the weight of those words hanging in the air. What stories indeed? As laughter erupted again, Ginger shook off the heaviness momentarily. She had come too far to let doubt seep in. She looked around at the faces illuminated by joy, young children bouncing on their toes, parents sharing smiles, friends cheering together. She recalled her grandmother's warm kitchen, the laughter, the messy countertops, and the love folded into every recipe. Suddenly it felt as if each cookie transported her back there, reminding her of the joy in sharing and connecting. Ginger watched as the pink-haired girl devoured another cookie. "These remind me of my grandma's," she said, her voice full of wonder. Ginger's heart fluttered. Maybe it wasn't just her story to tell, but a thread woven into the lives of others. Were her cookies a bridge? A way to connect generations? Suddenly, she made eye contact with the old woman again. The intensity in her gaze sent shivers down Ginger's spine. What was she waiting for? Ginger stepped away from her booth and approached, feeling a mix of apprehension and excitement bubble within her. "Excuse me," she said gently, "I wanted to ask, what stories do you think my cookies carry?" The woman smiled, a tender expression that etched deep lines into her face. "You're asking the right questions, dear. Your heart is in your baking, and it's there people will find their stories. Tell me, what recipes did you grow up with?" Ginger felt something shift in her chest. Did she even know? She recalled her grandmother, flour dust in her air-conditioned home, laughter swirling like tender smoke around their heads. "My grandma always made oatmeal raisin on rainy days, and when I was sad she'd bake chocolate chip cookies, and we talk about everything," Ginger found herself saying. "Those connections, they matter," the woman said softly, leaning ever so slightly closer. "Your legacy isn't just about sweetness or presentation. It's about memories and healing." Ginger blinked back tears. Suddenly, the festival buzz felt like a distant song, one that didn't have to drown out the older woman's wisdom. "I want to share that every piece of my story," she whispered, her breath catching in her throat. Hopeful determination ignited within her. She felt renewed. "Then share it, dear. Speak through your cookies and people will come seeking more. You may not know their stories yet, but you can help them find them." As she stepped back to her booth, the excitement had transformed. No longer was she just baking for a prize. She was sharing fragments of life. As the crowd roared into another chant, Ginger's heart beat with renewed purpose. She grabbed a fresh batch of cookies and began telling stories, the stories her grandmother would tell, the ones that lingered in the air while the audience listened in rapture. "Does anyone remember the time when laughter spread like wildfire?" She felt alive. The pink-haired girl's eyes sparkled as she raised her hand, wanting to share her own tale, her own connection to baking, with a warm smile. Just as Ginger thought they could drown in the magic of shared stories, She stole a glance back at the old woman. Yet, the woman had vanished into the cascading crowd. A chill crept upon her. Where had she gone? Ginger's heart raced again with unanswered questions. Did she hold the pieces of a legacy greater than herself? Uncertainty nestled next to determination again. Who else might she discover in the crowd? And would they help unlock the remaining stories waiting to be told? As she beamed at the festival's energy, she realized she was eager to dive deeper. What awaited her around the corner? Ginger's booth buzzed with laughter and shared stories, each cookie serving as a bridge connecting memories and moments shared across generations. She poured her heart into every interaction, reminding herself that the beauty of baking lay not just in the treats she made, but also in the experiences they ignited. She spotted familiar faces among the crowd. There was Mrs. Anderson beaming with pride, and her dad sitting in the shade, watching with the fondness of a father who understood his daughter's journey. Ginger felt the warmth of support surrounding her, and it only fueled her fervor. The old woman's words lingered in her mind, nudging her towards the deeper truth of her dreams. "Did I ever tell you about my first baking disaster?" she exclaimed, addressing a small group that had gathered. They all looked intrigued, eager to hear more. "I was 12 and decided to make Grandma's chocolate chip cookies all by myself and forgot the sugar." Laughter erupted as she recounted her early misadventure, each chuckle fostering confidence within her. As the crowd swelled, Ginger shared more stories: her grandfather's love for oatmeal raisin cookies, and her battle to master pie crusts. Each tale transformed her booth from mere sugar and flour into a sanctuary of connection and joy. The sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow around them, while the festival lights twinkled alive, each one a reminder of the hope sparking around her. "Ginger!" Jake called out, running toward her with a group of classmates. "You won't believe it. People are lining up outside the festival to try your cookies. They can't get enough." His excitement was infectious, lifting her spirit even higher. "Really?" she gasped, her eyes brightening at the thought. "This many people love them?" "Yes. They're reporting about you. It's spreading like wildfire." In that moment, doubts peeled away like the outer layers of an onion. Ginger realized how impactful her journey had become, not just for herself, but for her community. She felt called to do more, to expand her vision beyond the festival. And as the fleeting shadows danced among the festival lights, a bold thought surged within her. "I want to have a bake sale for charity. Maybe we can raise funds to help the bakery and make a difference in our town." Jake's eyes widened and he nodded vigorously. "That's a fantastic idea. We can sponsor it. The whole community would want to help you." Ginger's mind raced with possibilities. A bake sale could bring not only sweet treats but also love and laughter, each sale an act of hope rekindled. She envisioned the bakery doors swinging open again, filled with the voices of a community united over freshly baked goods. The festival continued, vibrant energy pulsing through the air. As more people flocked to her booth, she poured her heart into every cookie, every story shared, and the warm sense of belonging enveloped her. Just then, the older woman appeared again, standing at the edge of the crowd. Ginger's heart skipped. Was she truly there? The woman smiled softly, a knowing look in her eyes. She held a small tin filled with cookies as an offering. Ginger's breath hitched. It felt like a passing of a sacred tradition, as if the legacy had expanded. With determination, Ginger walked closer. "Will you share your stories with me?" she asked, and as if on cue, the crowd quieted, eager to hear. The woman nodded, stepping forward. "Of course, dear." Her voice was rich with experience. "Every cookie tells a story. Every story connects us." Together, they shared laughter and tales, and in that moment, Ginger knew she had found something truly special. It was never just about winning. It was about embracing her roots, cultivating community, and rising above challenges. As night fell, the stars sparkled overhead, and Ginger felt the magic of possibility swirling in the air. She knew she had a path ahead filled with challenges, but she also felt a sense of expectancy in her heart. The road to transforming her family bakery was just beginning, and her wings were spread wide. Together, she whispered to herself, looking at the faces around her filled with joy and hope, "We can build something beautiful." This was just the beginning, not just of her dreams, but for everyone around her. They would take flight together, her paper plane soaring high in the sky of their community's future. And as the music of the festival swelled, they celebrated not just a moment but the promise of countless stories yet to unfold. Now, as the final remnants of cheer floated through the air, Ginger stood taller, resolute in her mission. It was time to honor her legacy. It was time to fly. So what do you think? Wasn't that a transformative journey? If you felt inspired by Ginger's story, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help me reach more incredible dreamers. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this powerful ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Keep the spirit of community alive and witness the magic unfold in their lives too.